Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's Thursday night, and you know what that means. Graders Notes coming at you live. And the Graders Notes crew is all assembled. And let's bring out the dream team that is Graders Notes. First up on the docket, horror movie aficionado, interviewer to the likes of, Barbara Walters. Who's another good interviewer? Larry King, you could say. A badass on two wheels. He goes by the name of Genome Presents. What is up, brother?
Greetings, true believers. It's great to be here once again with my august fellows. Just can't wait to bring some comics knowledge to the rest of your lovely viewing audience. And we've got a great book to go over tonight, and just can't wait to get into it. Appreciate the intro.
Hell yeah. Speaking of true believers, the truest believer in the game, the man who's got the foresight, and he knows what the undervalued picks are, man. He's got his eyes on the speculation. He's been picking these books up way before all these speculating jabronis thought it was cool. The man from the Great White North, the hitman himself, Mr. Miracle. What's up, man?
Hey, Kenny. Thanks for that great introduction. Thanks for everybody for joining us in the chat. This is a particularly exciting episode. I'm so glad that you picked this book, Kenny. Always been one of my favorite Batman issues, so really hyped to just dive into this one and do the Graders Note with the rest of you guys, and of course the chatter, always our fifth grader.
Hell yeah. And last but not least, you can feel the anticipation bubbling in the crowd because you know who's coming up next. The staple of Graders Notes, the commissioner of the contests, the man with the encyclopedic knowledge of the comic book game. The one and only, last but not least on anyone's list, Mr. Metarog. What is up, my brother?
Well, thank you, Kenny, man. I mean, wow, man, the hyperbole was flying tonight, boy, I tell you. But
that's another word for it. Yeah.
I appreciate all that. I mean, I'm over here trying to restrain myself from blowing up. Thanks so much, brother. It's so good to have us all together again. I love Simeon. I love doing it with other guys.
Yeah.
But man, for this one, I mean, we're tackling a really big boy. So I think we need to be at full strength, full concentration. The chat has got to be on point. Everything's got to be going straight forward, vapor trail fast. So let's go. Let's get ready to rumble.
That's right. We're not playing around here. We busted out the legendary Batman number 251. O'Neil, Adams. Buckle up, baby. How does this book hold up? Is it going to get shredded to pieces? Is it going to just get, we're just going to gush over this thing? We'll see. Quick rundown of the chat. Immortal Biggie Shack. Heroes to Icons. Unruly Simeon, of course. Alumni of the show. Mastodon Comics, who hit me up earlier and let me know I read the issue. He read the issue earlier.
All right.
Biggie
Nice,
Shack
Don.
read the issue earlier.
Nice.
I like that this book is out in facsimile, so it's very accessible to people to read. So that's cool. The Gray Man, alumni again. The Comic Collector, another staple of the chat. Stephen Oates. I love Disney and comics. Thank you for showing up, and I hope I didn't miss anybody. Thank you for everyone hanging out. Library of Comics. Hell yeah. Good to see you.
Just met him in Atlanta, by the way.
Ooh, nice. I like his name.
Yeah, he's a cool, super cool guy.
Now, quick rundown of what we do here. Graders Notes. We bust out the book. We grade the book on a criteria of cover, interior art, writing, concept, and overall grade on a list of 1 to 5. 0.5s are allowed. Any other fractions will not be accepted. We'll each give our grade. Then we'll kick it to the chat for you to give the all-important chat grade, the one we all secretly want to match with our grade. And we take it from there. Perry Comics, shout out to you. Bake the Snake, good to see you as well.
Ooh.
Okay, that's enough introduction. Time for the main event. We always start with the cover, analyzing the cover. And let's see, I'm going to start, because naturally I would go this way, but I'm going to go this way, and we're going to work our way around. So, you're first up at bat, Roger. Tell us what you think about the cover of Batman 251.
Well, I think I was telling you in the pre-chat that I had the story, but I did not have the cover, as a three-dimensional, right, in hand. So I was kind of missing that aspect of this comic. And boy, I tell you, this cover is so good on many, many layers. When you look at it and you consider, and we're going to talk about the concept and how that sort of ties in a little bit to the cover. You have that classic Batman logo, but notice the Joker is actually in the forefront of that part of the Batman on the top there. And obviously this is a very symbolic cover, very allegorical cover. And you have the maniacal laugh protruding out of both sides of his mouth. You have the gigantic Joker over the cityscape, holding not a Joker, but an ace. And who's on that ace? None other but the Batman himself, pinned down to it. And I love the little title down here, "Look out, Gotham, the Joker's back in town." And this sort of is a portent to things to come, because this is a groundbreaking, changing cover for the Joker. Although at this point we weren't sure what was going on, but when we're talking about the incredible, look at that the smile, the smirk, the confidence, the madness that is behind those eyes. Neil Adams really hit it out of the ballpark here. I'm taking out a little bit because the backgrounds, at least on my copy, they look a little bit too saturated, a little bit too uneven, but that's a very nitpicking kind of thing. This is by far and away one of the best covers I've ever seen, and that's saying a lot considering how many thousands I've seen. So I give this a 4.5 and just a wisp away from a 5. It is really that good.
Man. You heard it here first. Just shy of a solid 5. Metarog makes a great case on what he appreciates about the book. Very astute. Welcome to JM Comics, who popped in. Good to see you. Great job, Roger.
Bake's in the house too.
Yeah, Big Bake.
Yeah, Bake. My man Bake.
Dave, Mr. Miracle. You've owned this comic for a while. You've had multiple copies, from what you told me.
Yeah.
So you're familiar with this book and familiar with this cover. What's
man, what can you say about this cover? I use this cover in Slabdown to beat, the Great Legend, of course, because it is classic, man. This cover is on T-shirts, it's on lunch pails, it's like backpacks, stickers, posters, metal wall hangings, whatever form of reprinted cover, there is one of these, because this is such a classic cover. To me, it is one of Adam's best covers of all time. And it really, the strikingness of it, I mean, the Joker stands out so well in this without having these really differentiating colors, like to make him pop, but he still stands out against that dark blue, and it pops with the red lettering on the treatment there. This cover basically got me collecting Bronze Age Batmans, because I wanted this cover. I obsessed about this cover way back in the day when I bought it, right? So this is my original copy I was showing everybody, right? It's a really nice condition copy, of course, that I bought years and years ago, because like I said, I had to have it. And luckily I did. And of course, along our way of comic collecting, issues seem to find us too, right? So it wasn't. I actually bought that, and then a few weeks later, I had another mint copy just basically fall into my lap, which I sold to someone else a long time ago. I try not to keep too many doubles of things. Try to turn them over and change them into comic books, other comic books that I want. So that was one of the ones that I switched. But of course, I was always going to keep the best condition copy for myself. So this cover is just, what can I say? Like, I mean, I don't even know if I'd be collecting comics today if I hadn't started collecting Batman and X-Men, and this cover got me started. So I got to give it a 5 all the way. It's one of Neal Adams' best. I think it's an amazing layout. I love it. Everybody loves it. That's why it's such a classic.
Strong.
Well said. Strong endorsements.
Strong.
I figured we were going to come out strong with cover grades, so it looks like it's shaping up that way. But that's also how the Incredible Hulk issue started out with the classic McFarlane cover, and that's not decimated on the inside. So hold tight, viewers.
And deservedly so, by the way.
My man Genome.
The funny thing is the Hulk looked better reflected because you couldn't see very much of him. You couldn't see his smashed head and friggin' dumpy looking body when he was reflected in the claws. So.
And also, like I've heard Neal Adams, and I've heard your stories with Neal Adams, that he can be a little bit, or like snobby a little bit or whatever, but he's not McFarlane rude kind of thing. You know what I mean? He's like kind of like got this air of a dick about him, but he's not a complete dick like McFarlane is.
That's fair. I had that little run-in with Neal, but I thought it was just be a shrewd businessman, but he was actually pretty nice. He took a picture with me and the whole bit. So
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
cool.
And I'm sure Todd has his moments as well, but
yeah, I mean, you got to give these guys some leeway too. It's like, these cons, they're just getting mobbed all day long. They can go anywhere in the comics community at all without just being mobbed by everybody. And some days you're just having an off day and you don't want to be around people, and people come up and grabbing you on the shoulder and dragging you into pictures. And
they're human, right? Like,
I'm sure it gets old. Yeah, I'm sure it gets old. Yeah.
I'm sure they get treated a little bit like cattle, like being forced. Okay, at 2 o'clock, got to be here, and at 3 o'clock, got to be here, and then this is that.
But at the same token, you shouldn't take those venues because you have to expect that's going to be happening. So I mean, there's kind of yin yang, and you got to remember where your bread's buttered. You got to make the fans happy. So
you make
it's kind of a tough trade off,
right? They were selling this for $60. They make good money.
Great comment by JM. One time I met Neal, he compared himself to Michelangelo. I asked if he meant the Ninja Turtle. Well played.
Great stuff, JM. Great stuff. That is fabulous. Oh man, that's classic.
Action's on you, Mr. Genome. What do you think, man?
Well, once again, thank you for sending me this copy. It's an amazing looking facsimile here, but don't let facsimile fool you. This is an A1 cover if there is one, and the fact that it was made so long ago just kind of ups the game. I found some really interesting things about this cover. If you look at the suit, once again, I know that Metarod pointed out that he's on the ace of spades, but he picked the spades. So basically, he's on the highest ranking suit in the card game. So just kind of like shows you how much bigger and stronger that the Joker thinks he is in his own mind. I mean, you got Batman pinned to the card, trapped, Joker's just gargantuan. He's so big, he's covering up the flagging at the top, man. You can't really see Batman's name too well. And it's like the logo is almost looking down helplessly as its avatar is down there just getting wrecked, But I don't know. It's so interesting. It's almost like a 3D effect before 3D was cool. You know what I mean? In comics, I don't know. I mean, I could go on and on and on. The only little nitpicks I have about this one is the Joker doesn't really pop too well, this background. I know it's supposed to be like a Twilight setting, but since his outfit's so dark and everything, that he kind of washes a little bit. But I mean, it's just minor, gripes. I could do that. This little flag down there too. I mean, the cover itself grabs you. I mean, that's what it's supposed to do, right? So if I'm walking down the comic book aisle and you're going through all your typical stuff, would you see this cover even today and not want to know what's inside of it? And back then, they weren't just trying to sell covers; they were trying to sell books. So it was, I don't know, I would grab this in a heartbeat. It's just so cool. Batman looks like he's in real trouble. And once again, you're not used to seeing the Joker like this. You know, he's always kind of comedic and buffoon, but you expect to see one with a spray gun or something in his hand, not sitting there owning Batman like this on a cover. So amazing cover, amazing layouts, amazing concept. I give this a 4.5. Just knock it a little bit because of the little bit of not poppage and maybe a little bit of non-clarity down here in some of the buildings. But I mean, who's going to really care about that? Just 4.5 is really close to a 5.
Boom. Just shy of a 5. What grade did Miracle give it again? I forget. I know it was high.
5.
5. Okay. And shout out to the recent additions to the chat. D-Rump Comics, my brother. Coach Vic in the house. Good to see you. Pope Cerebus the first in the house. NYC, thank you for joining. Dave Enrique. Thanks, y'all. I guess that brings it to myself. You know, Mr. Miracle had mentioned earlier, this thing's all over the place, even on T-shirts. That's right.
There you go.
I would have worn it. I just bought this recently at the Boston Con. But, dude, once my dryer got a hold of this thing, it shrunk it to the point that it would be awkward if I was wearing it right now. Put it that way. But, yes, beautiful.
Did you get pre-shrunk shirts? Damn it.
Yeah, no, that thing. Batman 251, man. So this cover's excellent. Probably one of my favorite trade dress, logo dress from Batman's run. Because a big chunk of the Batman run has a similar layout of like Batman's head with the cowl and the word Batman over it, but it's gotten tweaked over the years. Like his head's going this way on one era and it's going straight forward on another era. This is my favorite trade dress of Batman. This particular one with him looking straight down like that. And they would change the color scheme to match the issue. And I thought that black and red was perfect for this one. So it starts out with a complete bang right up here. Love it. I love like the abstract nature of the cover. Huge Joker towering over a city. I felt like since it was so stylized, they didn't have to put those little straps on Batman's arm. Like almost takes away from it. Like he didn't have to worry about the practicality of how's Batman strapped to that car. Just I would have done without those little straps, but that's all right. The drawing of Joker is the absolute highlight, and we're gonna see it throughout the issue too. Neil Adams draws Joker and Joker's face. Incredible. The ominous shading, the maniacal look in his eyes. The whole design of it, just what a brilliant design of him towering over the city with Batman on the ace card. And you're right, it is interesting that it's not a Joker card. But I think that's the right move. I think a Joker card would have been distracting, or if it was like a face card, like a king. I think Ace of Spades is very clean design, and it would have muddied it up if he even went with a Joker card. Because sometimes Joker cards don't really read as playing cards. So good choice on the ace. I think the top is so great and detailed that I kind of think it's probably good that the bottom's a little muted in color. That didn't bother me at all. Stunning cover. In my opinion, a flawless cover, brother. I got really nothing I can pick apart other than it does bum me out that the straps are there. I would have went more stylized and don't worry about it. But that's it. Look how much I'm reaching talking about the straps.
Yep.
So the thing is great when you're reaching about straps and stuff. Grayman says Ace of Spades represents death. Well, there you go. Even better. Excellent.
Tarot,
I give. Was there anything else? That's about it. And I like Batman's body language on the card too. It's like he's not just laying flat, static. Almost looks like he's struggling, in pain. Joker's back in town, baby. So I'm with Miracle, man. This thing's gonna get a solid 5. Not many covers can get a 5. That's an elite club, and Batman 251 is in that club. Solid 5.
Oof.
That's it, man.
Oof.
I
I
agree,
think
buddy.
this is the highest grade we've ever given to as a collective. To a
Yeah,
club.
it's got to be.
Oof.
Good.
Okay.
So, hey, DS Comics, thanks for joining. And poor Mike, what's up, my brother? So now the action is on the chat. We've gushed over this thing, a 5, and 2 4.5s from the Graders Notes panel. Now it's on the chat. We want to see what you guys grade this cover. We'll have Genome kind of, run the timer, the chat grade timer. So let your chats be known. Let your grades be known in the chat, so we can get an average chat grade. While Miracle tells us about his cat.
Grayman comes in with 6, already breaking the rules.
He's being a my little cat.
You're a massive cat. That cat is massive.
He's not massive.
He looks really big.
He's,
Yeah, I know.
He's a pretty big boy.
Hey, that's a big boy.
Yeah, my other cat is actually probably twice his size. She's huge.
Yep, DS Comics 1 through 5, and we only accept 0.5s for in between. No smaller fractions
Oh
than that.
man, we got some major participation here, guys. Major league.
Appreciate it.
Oh, yeah.
You
By the way,
are
yeah.
killing it.
The closest we've come to our overall scores for the cover is actually all the way back to our first show, X-Men #1 cover. That was the closest one. We had 2 5s, a 3 5, and a 4. So this one's in pretty rare company.
That's right. I forgot you guys did that Jim Lee X-Men #1
Yeah,
first.
that was pre Canadian curmudgeon there. But yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You had the
We
UK.
love you, Dave. We love you, Dave.
Yeah, we did. He's the one that gave it 3 5 too.
Yeah, I watched that episode. I was in there.
Ruben,
All right.
Steve Whiting, welcome. Joe 4777, welcome. Comic Man Andy, welcome.
Gino, let me know when I can read out the grades here. And
Got about 30 seconds, chat.
all right.
Oh, and by the way, hang out to the end of the show because the chat's going to be not only an integral part of this show, but our next show as well. So we'll need you to stay around to the end for another judging.
That's right. That's right.
Yep, that's right.
Miracle's over there breeding jungle cats. His coach.
That thing is huge. It's like mixed between like what Tigro and Panthro, man. I think it's just enormous, man.
I think that's the battle cap sculpture, or that that's
Yeah.
used for the sculpture.
He-Man could ride that thing into battle.
Yeah, throw a saddle on that thing, dude.
Put a saddle and a mask on that thing. Some green, and that's it. He's ready to go.
Oh, that's going to be his Halloween costume. I'm going to tell my
I still
wife.
call him Battle Cat. All right, time's up, everyone.
All right, here we go. Kenny, you gonna do the honors, or
Yeah, I got the abacus.
you got the abacus ready? Okay. Well, 5 for JM Comics. We'll put 5 for Grayman, no matter what he says. 5 for I Love Disney. 5 for D-Runk. 5 for Unruly. You see a pattern? 5 for Biggie. 5 for Dave Enrique. DS comes in with a 3-5.
What?
Heroes to Icons 4. Comic Books NYC 4. Goat 4.5. Comic Man Andy, hey, welcome, buddy. 4. Mastodon 4.5. Joe 4. He says he can think of better covers. Comic Collector 3.5. Probably unpopular, but I personally don't like Items art. Okay. And Steve Whiting 4.5. Coach Vic 5. Poor Mike 4. Grayman, you can't go twice. And Mark at Nap 68 4.5. Oh, here we go. Pope Cerebus 4.5. And Ruben 5. Some people came in here at the end. Hey Ruben, how you doing, buddy?
People keep joining too.
Yeah, that's a lot.
By the way,
What-
look to your left and look to your right in the chat. If you see someone here that's a part of the comics community you're not subbed to, make sure to sub them up, people.
That's right. Hit that
Yeah,
hit the
yeah,
little
sure.
icon. Coach Vic is pretty new to the community. Let's sub him up, show him some love. JM Comics, at least I wasn't subbed to him until today, so make sure you hit that love button there.
Nice. Great turnout. Thank you, guys.
Fabulous.
Brought us to an average of 4.5 on the chat.
Wow.
That's right.
Wow.
What was the score? I'm sorry. I was looking at something else.
4.5.
4.5.
Wow. It's right on the cusp of a 5 for me. It really is. I really hemmed and hawed going into a 5, but I just that I just thought a little more detail down there would have hit it out of the ballpark for me.
That's fair. So round 2 is, let's stay on the art and jump into the interior art of this book. So Neal Adams, of course, illustrated the inside of this book. And Mr. Miracle, you're first up to let us know what you think about, we know he pulled off a pretty sweet cover, but how did he do on the inside?
Man, like Adams, you could tell that he was excited to do this issue. I mean, like right off the hop with that crazy face in the rain, Joker cover with the maniacal laughing all the way down the side of the page. Like it just starts off, you're like, oh, this is not the Joker we remember, right? Because prior to this issue, the Joker was kind of a pretty campy character, right? So now, instead of that campiness, we're seeing this, wait a minute, he's looking pretty evil, and that's perfect. And then, there's all these little details that Adam likes to put into it. I love where he just takes little random objects and puts them outside the comic panel, right? Just the edge of that playing card is outside the comic panel. And if you look around a little ways longer, just Batman is at the top in that comic panel there, just outside the actual box panel, right? Like just little things. Just the Joker's foot is outside that panel, right? I love when artists do those the little kind of details that Adams kind of does in that. And then great perspective shots, great action shots. When someone's when this dude's crawling through a pipe, you get real sense that he's running and crawling and trying to get away from Batman, through all his running and hard as he can. There's some great perspective shots. It's so much smarter. And I was looking at this panel here where they're talking about the first time where he's got a victim that he's got in one of his Joker traps, right? But instead of having that perspective from the Joker position up, right, he's got it over the shoulder of the guy in the wheelchair, which gives you a much more drawn away perspective, and it keeps the reader back, like they're watching everything. They're not they can't stop it. It's like something that's going on and they're watching it and they want to stop what the Joker's doing, but you can't because you're just an observer, right? Whereas if they had to kind of put it from the Joker's perspective up, it would have shrunk down the victim and then kind of try to put you too close to the action so that you would feel whoa, what's going on, right? I just think that Adams is super smart when he does layouts like that, using those kind of perspectives. I love this little bottom shot. The Joker comparing himself to the shark is great. That's clever, man. Who makes a little shot like that, like an over-the-shoulder shark shot? I could just imagine Adams just having a ball doing this, getting his kicks off, drawing the Joker, being actually psychotic now. The whole fight with the shark, right? And I was just every time I read this, I want Batman to pull his freaking shark repellent out of his bat utility belt, but he doesn't do it right. Just great art shots, great big panel shots throughout this whole thing. Look at that perspective, right? Instead of just having Batman stand there in profile or even just being running, he looks like he's at a full sprint right here. He's so leaned over. Come on, focus camera. And again, Batman going outside the panels and stuff. So again, I've always been a big Neal Adams fan and a fan of his interior art and a fan of this issue in particular. I give it a 5.
Wow. Oof.
Solid grade. Flawless victory.
Flawless victory.
Fatality.
Incredible. We're going to kick it right over to my man who's an appreciator of the Batman art. You got I love that Secret Origins. That's Bolland, right?
Yeah, that's pretty sweet, isn't it? Got that actually out of a prize haul from one of my first contests I ever entered when I got on YouTube a year and a half ago. But yeah, that's good stuff right there. So let me get my timer rolling here. All right, so interior art. You know, it was funny. It's kind of unrelated, but somewhat related. When I was going through this, I almost could have swore this was drawn by Jim Aparo. It reminds me so much of the way he draws Batman. A little bit longer torso than usual, and just the proportions. It just reminds me of him a lot. And I like the Aparo run and like Detective Comics and all that. So the interior. Let me start off with basically the only negative I have. There's a lot of panels in here with no actual background. It's just a solid color. And that's about the only place I can ding this. But there's lots of stuff like toward the center here. Lots of these just, you know, single colored kind of, I'm sorry, I'm pointing the wrong direction, backgrounds. Lots of that throughout the book. So that dings it just a little bit for me. I will say this. One good thing about using those kind of bright colors in the background is every character pops. There's none of them really hiding in shadows. But there's such good details, and that was the only negative, by the way. I mean, like Miracle said, I mean, look at that. That's worthy of a cover by itself right there. But look at these little details, like Batman's chasing Joker through the flooded museum or aquarium, whatever, and there's got the footsteps in the water. Awesome stuff. I mean, I love seeing things like that. Just great command of distance and perspective. The other thing is, I'm not a huge fan of the way he draws Joker's face. It's a little too thin. But I mean, really, other than that, that's all I got for the bad. But I mean, everything else here is just amazing. Great action shots, and there's a lot of action in this book. Great facial expressions. They seem to match up with what's going on too. It really shows a lot of Batman's like fighting prowess in this book too. The way he punches, he'll launch his whole body into a punch depending on the opponent. His acrobatic skill. But you know, it's got Batman from highs to lows to this. So I mean, there's shots of him getting knocked out, and there's shots of him like knocking somebody out, and it kind of runs the gamut. So, yep, hard to find really much wrong at all with that, other than, like I said, typical little nitpickies from dorks. I'm gonna have to give this a 4.5, just like the cover. It's pretty amazing, and I love this kind of art style for Batman. It's also like the I've always enjoyed that color scheme of that costume he does, like the darker sky blue with the gray. It just makes him pop really well. May not be the most intimidating for criminals, but hey, it works well for the comic reader. So 4.5.
Nice.
Very solid grade. Very solid grade. In some
4.5. Okay.
Yeah. Solid grade, and so high level grade, and also high level new additions to the chat, like my brother Goat99 and Los himself.
Hey, Lou.
Hello, Carlos.
Thanks for hanging out. And DS, I think I shouted him out before, but DS is cool enough for 2 shout outs, just in case. Thanks for hanging out. Okay, I think I'm next up here. So let's see. The art with Neil Adams knows how to draw Batman in the Joker, that's for sure. I don't think it's flawless, but let me go through some of the positives. Comes out with a home run, first page. I love all the ha-ha-has through it. Very well done. One thing that Neil Adams has a really good command of is lighting and shadows, which if you're going to draw a Batman book, having a command of lighting and shadows is very crucial. Facial expression's awesome. I like the way that he's using light on the guy's face. And he does a lot of these panels where you can tell it's a dark room by just muting it into like these pale greens and blues. Great way to show Batman operating in the night, but also you can clearly see the action. It's a nice little lighting trick that he does. Joker's face, I'm a fan of the way he draws Joker's face. It's super elongated, that massive chin. I think it's awesome. It makes him look insane. Great shadowy pictures of Batman right there, grabbing the shoulder. That's awesome. I love this costume too. The blue and gray outfit is classic Batman, you know. So really great stuff there. If I was to critique stuff, this panel, I mean, he put a photo reference in the background of that panel, which really threw me off. It's a straight up photograph of a building, which is the one instance where he did it. I know sometimes they use reference, but I don't know. I guess he didn't feel like drawing that building. He just slapped a picture of a building in there.
Mhm.
I like. Sometimes I like when guys get creative with panels and the way they lay out panels. Like this is a very standard layout of panels on these 2 pages. But sometimes Neil Adams likes to get funky with them, and it feels like it's not really planned, and he just goes with the flow and does whatever. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Like this one is okay. This is one of the better ones when he does something funky with the panel layout. I think it works well for the story. Speaking of lighting, look at the way Joker's hiding in the background of that. And then it cuts right to the hanging feet. What a great storytelling, visual storytelling there. So that's an example of a cool, funky panel. This one I would say is not. Like the way it cuts across here, it takes like a weird jut right down there. Like it's very funky. I don't think that's a particularly well laid out panel. Where was one that I didn't like? Like I wasn't a big fan of this panel where he cuts down. There's the little circle of Joker's face. I guess it's interesting, but I think it looks a little wonky. This one's the wonkiest. Is this one? Like, look at the shape of this panel. Like the way it cuts down through. It's unnecessarily. I guess he's like really trying to be stylized with it, but it's just
Looks like Nevada.
Yeah, right. It doesn't do the panels any favors. It's just Neil trying to get crazy, and that's a fail. You know, what a tremendous. That's a classic Batman image. So overall, you know, Batman does he does a great job with Batman. Very good stuff. Negative marks for funky panels that are unnecessary. Negative marks for giving me a goddamn picture of a building in the background of a thing instead of drawing it. So it gets a 4 from me. Numero oro.
4.
Wow.
Yeah. Had to smack him a little bit on a couple of those things.
Wowzers.
Okay, you know, I can see that, but so much goodness in here that I had to.
That's true. Carlito Classico, thanks for joining. Comic Intellect P, thank you for joining. Now let's get the, you know, some would say the definitive take on the inside art here. With Roger, Metarog,
No pressure here, man. You know, just throw me to the wolves, why don't you? Well, first of all, let's start with the splash page. Yeah, this is a 5 all the way. I mean, when you consider, you know, what you're trying to accomplish here, and you're trying to sort of set the stage for the rest of the book, this does it. You know, you got the rain. He's driving, but the rain is coming in on him, and that's Joker personified. Just whatever you think is logical, he does the opposite. Whatever you think you can predict, you can't. And this tells you that something's going to be happening in this issue that is going to knock your socks off, and it does to a, well, at least the art part does. You know, you guys hit pretty much all the points. I will say that, you know, you're right. Adams is a great visual storyteller. That's something that I always hang my hat on. Perez and Byrne are in the same class as far as visual storytelling. Like here, you know, where he's hanging out there, you can't really tell, but that's Batman under that right there. It looks like a pylon, but if you look closely, that's definitely him right there in the mask, right? And notice that these guys, Commissioner Gordon and the policemen, don't see him, and we almost don't see him unless we know later on that was him. Again, very good the way that he sets up the fact that Batman was observing the situation before even the police were there. Very well done. And again, you know, look at the faces that he puts here. They're all different. They show an expression. They show age. They show, you know, where this guy is an old punch-drunk boxer. So you can see he's got like little, he's got a little scar here. He's got a kind of a abscess here. I mean, you know, all kinds of really nice little details. He does this. I think you guys were mentioning how he goes like a monotone effect and then lighting, and that's effective most of the time. I think he overdoes it a little bit, like sometimes unnecessarily, but that's a good visual with that gut punch and actually pulling him out of off his feet. Again, this is all in the context of the story. Again, look at here, that face. It's like, it's not a Joker face, but you can tell that's just a scary, frightening, almost like visceral fright in there. And of course, I kind of agree with Kenny. I like the Joker face, that lanky, almost like triangular look. It just gives him a more maniacal and menacing look. Some of the previous Jokers had a more rounder face, and that kind of didn't give him that quite the killer homicidal look that this does. Like this, here's another detail. This guy looking a bit misanthropic, looking like, just, a pug. Those kinds of details that Adams puts in here are just so good. I will ding him a lot. His backgrounds are not that good. Some of them are just, kind of sloppy. They're kind of just sort of afterthoughts, if they're there at all. But the facial, the action, the panel layouts, you're right, Kenny. Some of them are really just odd and distracting. Like this one here, where we got this cut, and then you got a cut over. It's just weird. It's hard to follow it like that because you're not sure which panel you should be reading in what sequence almost. It's just really odd. But again, he is so good at drawing that Batman. The Joker with the lanky look. Obviously he's nowhere in Batman's physical realm, but because of the odd madness and odd nuances that he is, he's just a perfect villain because he just is unpredictable in every way. So yeah, I ding it for the backgrounds. I ding it for the over monotones, and I ding it for that really crazy kind of layouts that he does on the panels. So I agree with Kenny on this one. It's a 4, but this here, guys, that's perfect, man. There is nothing you can say about that. That is absolutely perfection. So 4 overall, though.
Very well done. You can see the definitive take also. Gaps with mine. What do you guys think about one thing? A comment popped in asking about how's the paper quality of the facsimiles these days. He said, "I think it held up pretty good. What do you guys think? I think the paper quality is really nice on these.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
Colors pop.
Yeah,
it feels like almost like the old newsprint. It's not
does.
like that slick paper that, like, I got an Amazing Fantasy 15 facsimile.
Yeah,
it's trash. It's garbage. The colors are so far off, but these are pretty close.
You don't got any of that ink wash either. Used to get in some of those older ones, so it looks really vibrant and good, I think. So
Yeah.
I like how they purposely smudge some of the ink, like in the prizes at the back, or is that just my issue? I thought they did that on purpose, because you used to see it all the time in the comics back in the day, right?
And you don't want anybody ripping that page out and putting it in the older one and thinking that that's what it is too, So they make it a little bit different, shimmer a little differently.
Maybe.
yeah. Facsimiles give you the same ads as the originals, which is cool, and because those True Believers, they modify the covers quite a bit. I'll notice they'll change the original stuff. The facsimiles are pretty true to form, other than the price.
You know what happens if you cut this out and send it in?
Nothing. They're probably out of business.
Well, I'm sure, but why would they put it in here?
Return to sender.
Return to sender.
Hey, sounds like a false advertising lawsuit if I ever heard one.
I'm doing it. I'm going to take a photocopy of this and do it.
Oh my gosh. You guys are too much, man. You guys are too much.
Let's kick it over to the all-important chat grade and let those votes start coming in.
Right.
So on this interior art, what do you think of everyone's take? Where do you fall in the chat, y'all, on the art inside of Batman number 251, grade 1 through 5? Have at it.
What I was going to mention to you guys in my reprint here and this trade paperback, the color scheme is slightly off. Like the Boxer, he's got instead of white hair, he's got like blondish hair, and he's got darker trousers.
That's in the trade.
Yeah, that's in the trade. I don't know if that's in the original Miracle, but
I don't want to
I
open
found I found it a little different than the
Oh yeah,
the
yeah,
facsimile.
yeah. We can give a side by side comparison there. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe because they don't want people to switch pages or whatever, but definitely a little different. But it doesn't make a big difference in the grade or anything like that. Just thought it was interesting.
You got lots of 4s and 5s, 4.5s, 4, 4, 4, 6, 4.
Read More Comics is in the chat. I don't know if we shouted him out previously.
Yeah. Hey, read more. Ben Compton in the house too.
Ben Compton.
Crazy Guy comic song.
Yeah, I just subbed to him the other day.
Yeah, we were commenting that his profile pic, it reminded me and Biggie Shack of your art, Miracle. Crazy Guy's profile pic of on the screen, that surfer.
Surfer? Oh, my surfer? What?
Cool.
Oh,
Crazy
right.
Guy's profile pic.
Oh yeah.
We were like,
Cool.
hey, that's a miracle.
Yeah, I see it.
Sounds better than the one I did.
About 45 seconds left for the chat
45
grades.
All
Hey,
right.
guys, you know something I just noticed reading through this? And let me know if you see this too. Almost all of those crazy panels you're talking about have Joker in them or around them. So maybe they're like trying to reflect his insanity, his state of mind being fractured and all or something. There's a few in there that without it, but all the ones that seem to be heavily crazy have Joker around there somewhere.
Nice. Good catch there, David.
Yeah, that would explain it a little bit. Yeah, I'll explain it.
Yeah.
But it's still distracting though.
I like it. I like it too.
Nice conspiracy theory, Genome. Let me guess, the world is flat too? Come on, brother.
Well, you know it. And Joker lives in Nevada, so
Joker lives in the bottom.
Nevada.
that's better than Paul McCartney's dead. So we got at the time limit. So last chance saloon for those in the chat.
2 YouTubers in the house, as well as Nerd versus Fat.
Hey, Nerd versus Fat.
And if you don't know Nerd versus Fat, you should follow him on Instagram because
Yeah.
Nerd versus Fat implies his battle against fat and with body fat. Nerd goes hard in the gym, brother,
Yeah.
and he's got a pretty inspiring Instagram page.
Yeah.
So shout out to him, dude. He's always got pics of him clanging and banging that iron in the gym, dude.
Yeah.
Shout out to you.
Good man.
Nice.
Good man.
Keep it up, brother. We love it.
All right, Kenny.
I used to weigh over 300 pounds, man. No, it's tough.
Wow.
Look at that. Shredded now.
So you want 299
What do you
now?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, what do you 295 now? Like,
Well,
good job on that 5 pounds.
right around 200 right now.
Yeah. Good job, Miracle.
200. We're like the
we wanna
200
keep you
club here.
around. We want to keep you around. Hey, I'm at 195, so I'm just under there.
Yeah, we are like the 200 club. What are you at, Kenny? I'm around 200 myself, between 200 205.
Yeah, Kenny's not 200.
Oh, nowadays I'm at like a svelte 175, brother.
Ooh, that's too light for a comic collector. No.
Kenny is obviously he's got good genes over there, you know.
Yeah, well, don't let it fool you. I'm what you call skinny fat. So my torso looks like I'm kind of thin, but brother, I got maybe some B cups.
Oh man, this is TMI for me. TMI. Yeah. All right, let's get to the chat grade before we start a workout channel here amongst us.
I'm ready.
You ready? All right. The Unruly One, 4.5. Biggie with 4.5. DS with 4. Steve, I Love Disney and Comics, 4.5. Steve Whiting, 5. Woohoo! Bake, 4.5. Ben Compton, strong 5. Don comes in with a 4.5. Grayman, 5. Grayman is going 5 everywhere. Coach Vic with a 4. Joe Bag of Sevens with a 4. Los with a 4.5. Read More, 4.4. Sorry. Comic Intellect P, 4.5 as well. I kind of dig the odd layout. Okay. Mark, 6. Let's give him a 5, Mark. 5. Grading scale is 5 and below. You're kind of new here. We'll let this one go. Don't let it happen again. Goat with a 4. Poor Mike with a 4. And Nerd versus Fat with a 4. And I think that is... Oh, Pope Cerebus with a 4. Ruben Nieves with a 5, way down here at the bottom.
Good job, Ruben.
Yeah, got it right before I read them off. Right before I finished reading them off, I should say.
Okay. So
Average 5.
Get out of here. You know that's not the case. Maybe math is different up in the Great White North, but not here.
yeah, not a solid 5, but pretty dang close. 4.5 from the 10.
Woohoo!
4.5. You got to round up, right?
Yeah,
So far, the chat's agreed with me.
4.4. 2.5.
Genome's on fire tonight.
2 for 2 so far.
Genome's on fire.
Here.
I had a perfect one a couple weeks ago. Now Genome is going.
We'll see if it holds.
Oh boy, is the story next?
Story is next.
The writing, we've been gushing over the
Oh, boy.
art. You know, Neil Adams had a good outing here, as we can see. Denny O'Neil, we haven't really brought him up much yet. How did he do on the writing of the story? First up to analyze this for us is the mighty Genome Presents. And what can you
Of course, catch me
say?
I'm chewing on ice, huh? All right.
And,
This first piece of ice I've eaten this evening, and you got to call me then. All right. So we're talking about story now.
yeah, the story.
All right. So story inside. This one is my lowest score of the evening, believe it or not. They do some interesting things inside, and I won't try to pluck everything off the bone because I'm sure a lot of people have things to talk about that are obvious, but I'll try not to get into them. This story is very reminiscent of a detective comic story in the fact that it's kind of a long chase sequence for the whole thing. But Batman, I like this episode. I like this issue a lot because it highlights what Batman is. He's a detective and he's a fighter and all that, and he's a protector of the innocent, or even if they're bad, he's still a protector of them. But this issue kind of highlights everything he does very well. Like I said, most of it is him trying to track down the former members of Joker's crew before he can off them all. So that's some of the strength of this issue is, like I said, it kind of gets to the gestalt of Batman quite a bit, all in one little well-contained issue. Joker is, as we know, and others will go into more, is kind of revamped here, and he's turned into something actually worthy of print as opposed to what he used to be. I won't get into him too much more, but he definitely takes a right turn from sanity, and it's a welcome sight to see, and you feel like there's real stakes now involved. He's much more menacing, even though he's kind of buffoonish. Now, where I do ding this a little bit is it's kind of stiff. A lot of the writing or the characters in here are really stiff. Batman is doing a lot more. He's always does a lot of inner monologue, but he does an exceptional amount of it in this episode or this issue, and probably because he does so much detective work. But even as he's getting beat down, he's doing inner monologue, so it's a little bit distracting. And Joker, he hasn't quite made the full transition yet into what we know now. So he's like the halfway point. He's talking like an insane Shakespearean actor. So he's good, but I don't know. He just, I know it's a transitional phase, so I'm probably judging a little too harshly, but he's halfway to greatness, I'd say, in this issue. And I'll just leave it at that. Most of the other tertiary characters don't have a lot of, life to them, but the boxer, the old pug boxer who is a member of Joker's, that's a great little freaking snippet of a scene there, man. You got Batman's helping him work and spar on the heavy bag, and then he's pretending like he's slipping or missing the bag and hitting Batman, and then they go into a full-on brawl, but the whole time they're talking like friends or something. It's odd, but it's really cool. I like that a lot. But yeah, due to a little bit of the stiffness inside and it being, other than the revamp of the character, it being kind of a typical little detective comics kind of tale, I'm actually going to hit this with a 3.0. That's better than average, better than serviceable. But that one actually didn't blow my socks off. So 3.0 for this story inside.
3.0.
Story left Genome with his socks firmly on.
And they're thermal right now because it's cold here.
Maybe slumped down a little bit.
It takes a lot to knock off thermals, right?
Yeah.
Brother, you don't know from cold.
That's true. I'm from Florida originally, man. Up here is cold enough for me.
It was like -5 here the other morning. I'm
Well,
not talking Celsius. I'm talking -5 Fahrenheit. I
It's
was
-5 in Celsius. You all be dead, wouldn't you?
-5 Celsius? No, that's
Yeah.
pretty good. -5 Celsius is about 20 degrees Fahrenheit.
dang.
Really?
That is.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Something around there. I'm not that great at converting.
That's still cold.
That's why I
It
missed
was
the
brutal, man. It was -23 Celsius. Like it was fucking. I was like, oh, why do I live here? Stupid people like that.
You're too much. You're too much, man.
Yeah. That's why Miracle has those cold-blooded grades.
Yeah,
Something.
that explains.
I know I'm bitter cold.
Bitter cold.
Well, I moved here from Vancouver, and Vancouver's pretty nice. I mean, it rains, but it's pretty nice. It doesn't snow or get cold. Right? So it was a shock to the system moving to another cold area of Canada.
So, the writing. Thunder racks the earth, and lightning scars the sky, and wetness streams from the clouds like tears of mourning. It is as though nature itself were weeping, and well it might, for there is death abroad this night. Brother, that's how Denny opens up the book. Really cool way to open it up. Very cinematic, very exciting. I would say that his writing and his dialogue doesn't stay that exciting throughout the issue. This is the plotting of this issue was really well. The overall bones of the story are really cool. Joker's on the loose. He broke out of the state hospital for the insane. They haven't introduced Arkham yet. They do that just a few issues later. He's on the loose. Batman's trying to wrangle up his goons that he used to work with to protect them actually from Joker because he's out for blood because I think they snitched on him. And one by one, Joker's getting to him first. He's one step ahead of Batman, knocking him out of commission until they confront each other at the end with some crazy diabolical shark eating plot. Overall, that's cool. The particular beats of the story and dialogue aren't written as great. So if this was the Marvel method, you could say Jack Kirby laid out a great story. Stan Lee ruined it with his dialogue. Maybe that's a little harsh, but I'll tell you one thing that I didn't appreciate. The world's smartest detective, the world's greatest detective, maybe one of the smartest guys in the DC universe, is a goddamn buffoon in this issue. And what page is it on? Page 9. Look at this atrocity on page 9. These goons that he's trying to intercept and protect, they're just making a joke of Batman. He chases this dude, this charlatan, who tried to escape him at first. This guy's bouncing on him. Batman had to chase his ass all the way around until when he finally links up with him, the guy says, "All right, I'll go with you, Batman. But do you mind if I go get my toothbrush first? Because I'm going to spend the night in jail." Batman unironically says, "A reasonable request. Lead on." Then they continue on, and the guy says, "I don't want to seem chicken or nothing, but do you mind going ahead of me?" Batman literally says, "Another reasonable request. Okay, follow me." And of course, he gets smacked like a buffoon. And then later on in the issue, you get the big Joker confrontation. And Joker tries to strike a deal with Batman because he's got this wheelchair-bound dude over a pit of sharks, and Joker gives him the option, and he says, "Here's a proposition. I'll allow this guy to live if you let me tie your hands up behind your back." And Batman's like, "Sure, gladly." He does it. Asks him, "Hey, why do you like sharks?" Joker says, "We resemble each other." That was a cool writing moment. I like that. But then, of course, when Joker double crosses him, Batman yells like a chump, "But you promised!" And then Joker says the obvious, "I'm a notorious liar." So I was like, man, that really bummed me out. Again, plotting great. He wrote, have Batman fight a shark for 2 pages. Dope. Well done. But some of those individual moments of Batman just dude's getting the slip on Batman the whole issue is like, that was kind of tough. And then at the end, Batman, finally catches him and tells Joker a joke. Because it was like, he noticed an oil slick, and that's what tipped him off. And he's like, to think that you, my arch enemy, would make me grateful for pollution. Wah wah. Lame joke, Batman. So, I beat it up a little bit on that, but I do think that the overall bones was good. Some of the particulars was like, dude, don't do my boy Batman like that. Oh, Genome's gone. So I probably should have got the gobbling turkey like a minute ago.
Yeah. I was wondering why it was taking so long.
Yeah, I think I have to re-invite him.
Yeah, he said my internet just dropped.
Okay. I landed on disrespecting Batman like that with making him so dumb. 2.5. I went down the middle, 2.5. I graded it pretty harshly for that. And that's what I fell on. So let me queue up the next grader while I try and see if I can get Genome back in the mix. Next grader. Metarog? Yeah, Metarog.
Okay.
Metarog, was I too harsh on O'Neill's portrayal of Batman? Or do you think I wasn't harsh enough? What say you?
Kenny, this is a travesty. To have the incredible art and storytelling visuals that this issue has, and to have such a dumpster fire of a story behind it. And that, in that sense, it strikes me even more glaringly how bad this story is. Now, let me preface this. Denny O'Neil is a pretty good writer. We remember that, those the drug issues and the very, very forward-thinking writing and plotting that he did in those Green Arrow and Green Lantern issues in the early 70s. He had a lot of really good a good run on JLA. He knows how to write, okay? But here, it's like you said, it's like Batman. It's like he's got multiple personalities. He's a great detective. He figures things out with minimal evidence, and yet he's buffoon enough to turn his back to a guy who just tried to who went through sewers to escape him. And then he said, yeah, go ahead. Oh, I'll go first. Sure. It makes no sense. It's almost like this Batman was being constantly shuffled in with one of the Three Stooges. It just makes no sense to me. But let's get to some of the good stuff. The dialogue here, you're right. Very majestic, very ostentatious, cinematic, great stuff. The tears of mourning coming from above, very portent of things to come. I like it, And then you're right, the basic plot is good. He wants to get revenge for somebody who turned on him, and again, on the concept, we're going to get more about how the Joker changed and so forth. But again, here's one thing that you didn't point out. Maybe you just didn't want to hit it too much. This guy dies by drinking this water. So what does Batman do? He kicks the bucket over. Well, don't you think maybe a little analysis of the water to see what this was and maybe counteract it, or he can have some clue as to what he's up to? That would have been the Dark Knight detective, right? No, he just kicks it over. And then again, you pointed out the biggest blunder, which is the one where he just cow-tied to this guy and got a concussion. Amazing stuff. Just makes no sense to me. The Joker, I think, is portrayed fairly well, though. I think that he's pretty consistent. He's obviously he knows that Batman's going to find him, and I like that aspect. He knows it, and Batman uses the clues at hand to find out where his lair is. I like it. Again, detective makes sense. It's all critical thinking and analytical, very well. But then you get to the end here, guys, and after all this thing, and he struggling, breaking the shark's neck and breaking the glass with the wheelchair because he took away. Notice he took away his utility belt. Okay, he doesn't have it on there. Okay, and then how does he catch the Joker? He slips on oil. That's how he catches him. He doesn't come in a grand fight or trap him no. He slips on oil and he's just lying there. So Batman gives him a right cross and that's it. It's over. Again, Denny O'Neil I think is a little bit too much into the environmental aspect here. Showing the oil slick there at the end and a place where it was supposed to be a cleanup operation. He's got an agenda here behind the scenes. And I think it's just a horrible story. Again, I like the detective aspects. I like the portrayal of the Joker. So I'm not going to give it a 1. But, man, this could have been so epic. And it just was a dud. So I give it, and I begrudgingly, a 2.
Ooh, a 2.
2. Ooh. Harsh beans, brother.
Yeah. And I'm being generous, honestly, because I was really upset at how terrible this was thought through because the art is just so darn good.
Yeah.
I know, right?
It's Detective Comics. But anyway, Mr. What say you? Are you going to be the ray of positivity on Denny O'Neil's story?
Say me? Okay, first of all, which one of us? Oops, which one of us did not hear Mark Hamill through the entire thing when I was reading every line of the Joker? All I could hear was Mark Hamill's voice with every line that the Joker spoke in this book. I agree with you guys. There are some stupid storytelling mistakes in this book. Batman getting dummied from behind. What? Like, even tracking down the Joker. Oh, I found this oily, sandy stuff here on the floor. Oh, right, there was an oil spill at the beach. Like, come on, he figures that out a couple days later. Like, no, come on, man. Like, the Batman's going to be like sandy oil. That's got to be this thing, this huge event that's happening and been all over the news for the last 10 days or whatever. Batman truly is a fool in this book. And the Joker has got some really corny lines, and he does a couple corny things. The whole exploding cigar killing the guy. No, don't do that. Don't do that. That's going back to the 60s campy guy, the Batman TV show guy. Yeah, but then it hits on some really, really cool things too in there too, like this whole scene where the Joker's standing over top of Batman after he dummies him, which of course Batman's like, oh, the Joker was here. Oh, wait, maybe he's still here. Wham! And the fucking lights go out on him, right? I'm like, come on. Batman is going to know to look around, right? He's not just going to walk in there with one of the most dangerous criminals of all time on the loose. He's just going to walk into a dark room and be like, oh, wait, maybe I should look around, right? Like, cops don't do it. Batman wouldn't do it either. But speaking of cool stuff, though, like stuff like this, where after he's dummied him, he sits there and goes, "Oh, I'm not gonna kill Batman," right? Like Joker wins. Joker wins right here. But he's like, "No, that's not cool. That's not the way I want this to go down." And that little scene, that little piece of writing, really defines the Joker as we know him now, right? Because the Joker just doesn't kill just to kill. He kills because he thinks it's funny, and he kills because he thinks like he's trying to one up something, or Batman, or somebody, the cops, whoever, right? That's one of the big problems I had with the way they portrayed the Joker in Christopher Nolan's movie with Heath Ledger. And it's not that Heath Ledger did a bad job. I think he did a good job acting him. But you could have taken any one of Batman's characters and put him in that role in that movie, and it would have been the same movie. It wasn't a Joker movie, right? But this comic, with that one scene, made this a Joker comic, like a Joker story. I do like cool things like when he kills that boxer guy and Batman's standing right there. Like, I mean, Batman's like, yeah, I saved this guy. Boom. And the guy's dead in the next second right in front of Batman. That's cool. I like that, that he won. I like that, some of this stuff, him fighting the shark. That's cool. I thought that was like cool, like, and he explains away like why is there a shark in the abandoned aquarium, right? They don't just leave sharks behind, but the Joker actually saved him and put him in there. So I was like, all right, way to hang a lantern on that one, and explain it away. But yeah, Batman's a pussy in this thing. But you promised, you said, can't believe you told a lie, Joker. Hurt my feelings. And he trusts everybody. Like Batman didn't trust anybody. Like he trusts like Alfred and Robin, and to a certain extent maybe Batgirl. But that's like past that, everybody else is a suspect. No way he's turning his back on Buddy without even like frisking him down to find out he has a blackjack in his pocket. Like, come on, man. Like, it's not like he just grabbed a stick. He had like a weapon that he pulled out of his pocket and dummied Batman with it. So I was like, ay, ay, ay. But, and the corny dialogue and stuff. But like I said, it had these moments. It's also the first time the Joker murders anybody since the golden age of comics. And that really changes everything for the Joker. This guy ended up being, probably $1 billion character, or more than $1 billion character. We've seen the new movies, everything that's happened, right? Billions of dollars built around Batman and the Joker. And it all starts back here. The Joker is only in, I think, 2 or 3 books in the 60s, and he's really campy, and he's really for kids. He doesn't kill anybody. He doesn't do anything dangerous. He was a forgotten character until this book. So I give props to Denny O'Neil for that, for really kind of bringing it back. And I don't know how much influence Neil Adams had in the story, because I know they were kind of working on the book together. And I'm sure Neil was like, it'd be cool if you did this or you did that, right? Because Neil's quite a bit of a comic guy, in the same way that I'm sure Denny was talking to Neil and being like, if you did it from this perspective, that'd be cool, right? They work together. So in those kinds of things, and that it changed this iconic character into an iconic character, that this book was the start of that. I like the story in that sort of perspective. I hate the story in that everybody's such a fool in it. It does have a lot of harkening back even to this, which is, anybody has this issue realizes this is really a kid's book. It's very kid book orientated. Mm-hmm. And I still think they were trying to kind of pull that back with the Joker. They weren't quite ready to make him a total psycho, but now he had actually murdered people and fought Batman, and actually became a much more, seemed as a much more adversary to Batman after this issue. So it's back and forth. So I went with the same thing with Kenny, and I went right down the middle, 2.5 on the story. Right, it's got some great points, but it's got some real failures in there too. So yeah, 2.5 from the Miracle. That's my grade.
2.5 from the Miracle. Boom.
Nice.
Gino.
Right.
Thank you, back. Good to be back. Sorry, I have my West Virginia internet here.
No worries, man. I'm glad it's not my turn this time. Bad internet.
Shout out. Kenny, you hit it with a 2.5 as well?
2.5 from me, 2.0 from Metarog, 2.5 from Miracle, and shout out to the new additions in the chat, brother. Kingdom Comics, Glitter and Duct Tape in the house. Appreciate you guys. I love Disney and comics. Thank you so much for joining the Greatest Notes crew. Duct Tape in the house. Appreciate you guys. Oh,
sorry, bud.
Hey, I love hearing my own voice. It's fine. Let's keep this train moving. We didn't hear from. Did we hear from everybody?
Yeah.
Except the chat.
Except the chat. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's right. I forgot you weighed in before you dropped off, Gino. Let's kick it to the chat, man. You've heard our analysis on the writing of this story. A lot of you in the chat, I think, have read the story, maybe even recently, because this was newly on the newsstand, which I think might be not a bad angle for us of these classic books that get facsimiled. Might be an interesting route for the Greatest Notes crew. But weigh in, y'all. Did we sour your opinion on the book, or what?
Does anybody have the House of Secrets facsimile?
No,
I didn't get that one. No.
I'm just wondering if it has like that newsprinty type paper also.
this is the first DC facsimile I've gotten.
Mm.
It's better than the Marvel ones. It's
Much better. Yeah, much
Yeah.
better. I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the first DC facsimile for me too.
If anybody
Yeah,
knows out
Kenny,
there in the chat,
Thanks again for sending me this book. That's great, man. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, Kenny, man. You spent like double what it cost the book itself to ship it to us. So you're
And more, a lot
superhero,
more
man.
than double to send it to me.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Happy to do it.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I'm just glad it made it in time. I was like, it's 50-50 whether it's going to make it to Miracle.
Chat, you got about 30 seconds.
Got here, man. I got here at like about 2:30.
I shipped it out on Saturday, which I was like, this is too late to send it. I was like, send them fastest, please. Priority.
Oh,
I know. That's why I'm saying he paid.
I was sent it ground and took my chances.
I would have sent it digital and took my chances.
I've sent stuff to Kenny before. It takes about 10 days.
Okay, thank you, Dave Enrique. He says it does have the newsprint paper, the House of Secrets. So I want to get that.
Cool.
Yeah, I want to get that.
Oh, nice.
That's obviously the Swamp Thing first appearance. The print.
Yeah.
All right, time.
All right. Here we go. Let's see where we start here. Unruly. Well, oh, sorry, Kenny, you ready?
I am.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Three for Unruly. The comic intellect P 2.5 after drinking 3. So 2.5 sober. So we'll take that one. I Love Disney comics 3. Biggie Shack gives it a 4. Wow, Biggie, big fan. Read More 1.5. Gray Man sounds like 3, maybe. I guess he hasn't read it yet. Ben Compton 3. Crazy Guy comic song Too Crazy 2.5. Man, that's a mouthful there, but cool. Dave Enrique 2.5. Goat 99 is abstaining. Joe Bag of Sevens 3. Mark Knapp 68 2.5. Haven't read it, but I go off your thoughts, and that's perfectly okay. You can go off whatever you want. And Steve Whiting 2.5. It looks like they like it a little better than we did, guys. Well, maybe
They didn't have to slog through the bad parts of it. They just got the highlights from us. So
Yeah.
there was bad parts in there.
When you look at, I read it once, right, and I was like, no, I couldn't have read what I thought I read, and then I went back and gave it detail. I go, yeah, I did.
yeah. The what do you guys think? It came to 2.75.
Oh,
It's kind of smack between 5 and 3.
Yeah, I think it's a 3.
Gotta round up.
If you got to round up, yeah.
3. My
Three.
streak stays alive.
Oh, Gino, Gino's on fire.
Thank you, chat.
Now,
It was so, I mean, like the Joker, for example, and both Batman and Joker, both of them, there were like two different characters in one. Like you had the stiff Shakespearean actor on one side and then the natural actor on the other. It was just, I know, I couldn't explain it. There was so much dichotomy between the two characters. It seems out of place at times, but
yeah.
It could have been so good. It could have been so good and great.
Oh, it could have been just a little bit tighter. It could have been classic.
Could have been so
super
good.
classic.
Yeah, the overall plot was great, I thought.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
Yeah. The idea was fabulous. It made total sense, especially considering the new concept of the Joker. But
I love how Batman's standing here with an umbrella right next to Gordon. He didn't even see him. I mean, how incompetent is this guy as a police commissioner? I know Batman's stealthy, but he's got an umbrella over his damn head.
and Batman even says so. He goes, "Listen, you guys move too slow, so I'm going to do my own investigating because these guys are dead if I leave it to you."
Well, Ben, he was almost dead, so I don't know what he was talking about.
Yeah, well, again, that's part of the thing that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But anyway, let's keep going.
Yeah, for a book
The
with
horse is
Joker,
dead.
it's sad that Batman was the real bozo in this book. Am I right?
Yeah, there were more than one Joker in here. That's true.
Yeah. Next up is the concept, and this is one of, sometimes we have books that there's more meat on the bone with the concept than others. This one, is kind of, aside from the cover, the concept of it is kind of what also makes this book notable. So I think I would be first up for that one.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
why don't I kick right into it and talk concept? Uh, it's the Joker show on this one. You know, this book, as many of you know, famously reintroduces the Joker back into the Batman world, really makes him stake his claim as Batman's arch enemy and premier villain. You know, bit of a joke, bit of very prankster oriented in books prior to this, and definitely not positioned as his main rival arch enemy. You know, comes back with a splash, even though you know it didn't. He wasn't as dark as and like completely violent as he would become in later stuff when like Killing Joke type era where he's getting really sadistic. He's still pretty gnarly in this book compared to because it's early 70s, 72, 73.
Mhm.
So we're not far from the 60s, so it's not like we're in the middle of the gritty 80s yet. And hey man, he hung, he came home to that lady hung in the apartment. That guy hung. The exploding cigar I thought was pretty badass. Straight blew that dude to smithereens. It's the Joker that we know. I agree with Miracle that you hear the Mark Hamill voice throughout this issue. His face even emits that maniacal laughter. So this is the Joker that's the prototype for animated series Joker, which in and of itself is the prototype for so many of Batman's villains. But this one really sets the prototype for Joker. And I like this era of Batman. They didn't lean into like you notice this is a Robin-less issue of Batman. There's a lot of books in this chunk of 20, 25, 30 issues where Robin pops up here and there, but it's not the Batman Robin show like it is in books prior. So yeah, I feel like the whole Batman series kicks up into a little more a little adult theme that starts to lean more into the darker vibe of Batman. But of course, this thing is epic for the justice that it did to Joker. Without this issue and Denny O'Neil deciding to bring him back, who knows? Joker could have went by the wayside because he's not like he was a fan favorite before this. So thanks to this, we got all the great Joker stories, and he became, what we enjoyed today. So much props for that. So an overall concept for really starting the train of the Joker we know and love. And I can't really critique the Joker's writing in the story. Like he was portrayed about right. It was Batman that was the dolt. So, 4. Let's give it a 4 for concept on this. Make the Joker a badass. Operation successful.
Nice.
Bang.
Very nice.
I think my strategy of going this way and that way kind of got thrown off, but I think Metarog was next.
Mm-hmm.
So the action's on you, my friend.
All right. I think your analysis was pretty much spot on. Just going to add a few little details to it. Yeah, I mean, when you consider, I am not probably amongst the four of us, I'm probably the least enamored with Batman and his rogues gallery. And there's no good reason for that. I just wasn't exposed to him as much as when I was younger as the myriad of other characters that I'm more familiar with. That being said, I have read quite a few, obviously, of his Silver Age battles with Joker, and you're right. I mean, most of those, the Joker's objective there was making him look bad, making him look like a buffoon, just driving him crazy, wasting his time, essentially just being a thorn in his side. Think of Mxyzptlk and Superman, okay? Something to that effect. Well, that he is absolutely a pest and a bother, but not the huge threat that he is portrayed at here. So I agree with you. Denny O'Neil here sort of took him into the Bronze Age where things got a little more serious, a little more violent, a little more, shall we say, updated with the social trends. And you're right. This is the Joker that we know of. Maybe at least the beginnings. It's the 1.0 of the Joker 2 or 3 or 4.0 that we know today. Who is that maniacal, that just irascible, totally unpredictable. And if you see him, your bowels release because that probably that's the last thing you're going to see. And he is portrayed in this issue, I think, fairly consistent, fairly well. There's a little issue here and there with him, but when you consider the incredible franchise that he is now, to have his own movie in 2019, this is the beginnings. This is the egg, the hatching of the egg that eventually became the full-fledged villain that we know and love today. And when I say love, I mean that in only as a character. Okay, so I think the concept was very, very, very well done, very well thought of, progressive. It's something that I think when you talk about the superheroes and the villains and how one plays off the other, Batman probably wouldn't be the Batman that we know today if it wasn't for the Joker. And in that sense, I give this high marks. But again, I can't give this too high a mark only because it's the execution of how Batman is portrayed in this particular issue, which is what we're judging, is just so off the wall and so bizarre and just so wrong that I can't give it. But the Joker would get a 5, but because of Batman, I give this a 4.
A 4 from the mighty Roger. Let's rock right along to the freshly hydrated Mr. Miracle.
And not hydrated with the crown for a change. Yeah. And then freshly muted, Mr. Miracle.
Freshly muted.
Freshly muted.
Oh, he drops it.
Whoops.
Okay, there we go. All right.
Okay.
My apologies. All right, so concept. Perfect concept. Let's bring back a psychopath to become Batman's arch enemy. Sounds good. Let's have Batman do his detective thing, track him down. All's good. Put Joker in Arkham like he's a crazy person, and we'll start this big thing, right? And just like we've been saying, it took off, right? The Joker became a wildly popular character. I hope we've all seen the movie now. I really enjoyed watching the movie, but he's been in lots of movies since that. Like ever since 1989, I guess, is when the Joker first started coming out in big scene movies. But I remember back in '89, there was just as many guys wearing Joker t-shirts as there was guys wearing Batman t-shirts when that Michael Keaton movie was coming out, right? So the Joker has always been really popular, always, and even so, more so now. I mean, we've seen villain movies before, but nothing's taken off like that last Joker movie has. And that all, like Roger was saying, comes back to this issue. This was the turnaround. Like I said, the first time he's murdered someone since the Golden Age, right? In the Golden Age, he was a psycho. He was stabbing people and poisoning people and giving Batman a hard time and murdering people right in front of Batman and all kinds of psychotic stuff. But then the Comic Code Authority popped in there and they couldn't do any of that murder stuff. So then they just kind of made him like this silly clown. And all of a sudden, instead of stabbing people, he was hitting them in the face with pies. Right, which sucked, and then off he went. Nobody wanted to see that. Not even little kids are entertained by that for very long, right? So, bringing this back, taking another chance on the Joker, making him a proper psycho again. I mean, he's getting there, right? This is definitely not the Joker that we see in like the Dark Knight series or anything yet, but he is getting there. And I mean, the DC editors must have been doing backflips at how well this issue sold, and they're probably still doing backflips because of all the money they've made off the Joker since this issue. Given that, I'm trying to leave the story to the side because the dialogue and everything was just so cheesy. But overall concept, bringing back the Joker, bringing back an iconic character, giving Batman a nemesis. So I gave it a pretty solid 4 on concept.
Quattro from Miracle.
Cat.
I see a pattern.
Cat.
Yep. Well, let's just tell you now, the pattern's going to hold. So I'm going to give you a preemptive grade here. This gets a 4.0 for me as well. So we actually did a clean sweep. But we'll go into a little bit why. And, there's not a whole lot left to say after the great dissertation from my chums, my good chums here. But yeah, it's so good to take a property and kind of reinvent it. The groundwork was already there for him to, just be the epitome of the random. He is the random. And it was there in the 60s, but they really couldn't show that kind of stuff, And so probably no one even thought to write him that way. His rogues gallery sucked back then because they were all just buffoons and clowns. And I mean, who was a serious threat to him back there? Robin could have swept them all. But it's just so refreshing to see a revamp of a character that really had fallen out of favor with the fandom, and to revamp him into something that would last until this day. A real change. Like last week we did Namor #1, and they kind of redid the character, but not much. He was still Namor down deep, so they didn't change him too fundamentally. I almost think in this story, I don't know if he was going for this, but maybe the time in the asylum is what pushed him over the edge to make him the homicidal maniac that he is now. I don't know, but that's the direction it took. But he still got the calm demeanor. So he's like the true psychopath because he supposedly feels joy, which is weird because psychopaths don't feel joy either. But it's like he's very detached from the people he's killing. They're just kind of pebbles to him. But it's cool that they gave the character such depth that used to be just a buffoon and just was there for selling to kids in gas stations and supermarkets, So good stuff there. Great reimagining of a character. And obviously that's done pretty well for itself over the years, being probably the most famous villain in all of comics. And got to go with the 4 myself. This is how you relaunch a character. You make them interesting. You don't have to necessarily revamp their power set. You don't have to revamp their motivations. Just revamp the personality some, and it can make all the difference in the world. So 4.0, reemergence of the new Joker that actually is interesting.
I'm only laughing on the outside.
Very nice. Clean sweep across the Graders Notes panel with 4s. Chat.
Good stuff, guys.
What say you? Do you think we're about right with it? Very solid, concept of reimagining the Joker, reviving the Joker, but maybe not perfect, It is kind of obvious that you should, as we got later into the more modern era, that if you're going to use the Joker again, you got to ramp him up a notch, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because physically he is no match for Batman. Mentally he's not really a match. I mean, he's smart, but he's not really a match for Batman. So you have to give him some kind of edge, and Psychosis is his edge. And his being not afraid to use other people to meet his ends to get Batman trapped. That's his edge. So it's cool. It gave him an edge finally,
Even says it in there, my gift, which they call madness.
Madness, yeah. And that's also his focus, because Batman has other villains to sort of take his attention away. But Joker, obviously in this issue, he wanted revenge on these 5 guys because he thought one of them ratted it out. But on the back of his mind, as always, Batman, he knew he was going to find him, so he set a trap. That he knew that Batman had to make a choice, and that he was going to off him because he knew the choice he was going to make. But Batman doesn't know, because he double-crossed him. And of course, again, Batman wouldn't trust anybody, but I'm saying in this issue, that was his thinking. The fact that he is so unpredictable, and he is a wild card, literally, and Batman has a modus operandi that he can predict. And that dynamic really was shown in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's true to that trend of Batman's rogues that the feeling you get is that they, after a while, they almost want to get thwarted by Batman, or if not, Joker doesn't doesn't want to go for the easy kill, like he says in this book. You know, he wants to make this grand theater out of it because they get such joy out of the cat and mouse game with Batman. You know,
Right. He doesn't want to kill Batman. He wants to defeat Batman.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. So Batman doesn't want to kill the Rogues Gallery, and the Rogues Gallery really doesn't want to kill Batman.
Right.
'Cause
They need
They're
each
in
other.
it. They just want to get Batman's attention when they do these crimes and this and that. They don't want world domination. Most of them don't want to leave Gotham. They just want to fuck around with Batman. Like,
Yeah, you
Oh,
think
yeah.
you think they go somewhere with easier pickings than the one place where the one guy who knows everything about them.
Yeah, totally.
no, they don't want to go to Metropolis.
No.
Uh,
Did you ever see that Batman animated episode where Superman pretended to be Batman?
yeah, I did.
Yes, I did
Yeah.
with Bane,
Yeah.
right?
That was a
Bane.
pretty funny episode.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
especially
was
at the
good.
very end.
That was good.
All right, time's up, chat. By the way.
All right, here we go. All right, Kenny, you ready? Ready for the
Yes.
scores?
Yeah.
That's my awful Bostonian accent there. All right. 4.5 from the Comic Internet Pete. Big props on the new Joker. I agreed. Gray Man, Why Buck a Trend, 4. Joe Bag of Sevens, 3.5. Crazy Guy Comic Song, Too Crazy, 4. Is about right. Steve Whiting, 4. Ben Copton, 4.5. Biggie Shack goes with the big perfecto, 5. And Coach Vic with the 3.5. Goat 99 is out abstaining. And I think that's it. We're kind of losing a few here at the end.
That's okay. It's just the hardcore left, man.
Just the hardcore. Yeah. We just
Yeah.
got the overall,
Hardcore,
and then
yeah.
the next
Decide.
place to go.
What the next book is, because we're gonna hit you with the A or B
Yeah.
choice at the end, chat. So we'd love you guys to weigh in on it. The chat grade evened out to our grade 4. Is that a grade
Wow.
result first? 4 across all 5 graders. Same grade across all 5 graders.
Is that right?
Mhm.
Genome is like what do you call that baseball statistics company? Oh man, yeah. Well, whoever they are, that they keep all the statistics in baseball. That's
Oh,
Genome.
right.
So he'll let us know if this happened in the past.
Yeah, I'll have to go through the.
If they go through
The
the
archives.
Yeah. I think maybe one time it might have happened. I have a vague memory of that happening once.
Doesn't happen very often if it did.
Not very often, no.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so now time for the last grade. Last grade is where we kind of sum it up and we give this an overall grade. What do you overall grade the issue? Where we take into account all these 4 different things that we've covered so far. What's your final stamp on the issue? So
Hey, what was the chat grade? I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
4.
4. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Goat99. Elias Sports Bureau. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh wow.
They keep all the statistics for baseball. Like they can tell you, what the 67th pitch was in 1971 game 67. I mean, everything.
Fun fact: in canon, Jason Voorhees' father's name Elias.
Oh,
There you have it.
wow. Now that's a deep cut there, boy.
Yeah, very deep cut.
Woof.
Overall, we're gonna get to Bedrock.
Somebody says it was a curveball. very, very clever. A very
Wow.
clever comic NLP. Very clever.
Well done. Well, on that note, next at bat on the mound for Metarog with the overall grade. What do you say, man?
This was definitely better than a single and less than a home run. Let's put it that way. All right. Not quite a grand slam, right? But let's go over. I'll go over just briefly. The cover that knocked it out of the park, no doubt about it. Nitpicky little details that kept it from a 5, almost still made it a 5, just because that Joker figure is just so off the charts good. That if you saw this, I don't care if you're a Batman fan, you saw this, you want to buy it because you're like, is that really a giant Joker? I mean, what's happening here? I mean, something special is in this issue. Just has that that aura about it. So 4.5 for there. Story, oh man, what a letdown that was. Again, maybe I dinged it harder because I expect better from Denny O'Neil. I expect better when the concept is so great, when the art is just absolutely over the top good. So I dinged it really hard because Batman just was it's like he was two different people in this issue. I mean, just a total buffoon and yet a critical thinking detective in another sense. This made no sense to me. So I had to give this a 2. Art, solid, really good. The action scenes, the facial expressions are so good. The shading, absolutely perfect. A little bit overdone on the monotone panels, and those weird shapes were kind of distracting, but really, that's a nitpicking. Its art is great. 4. Concept, we just talked about it. 4. Overall, I was so close to giving it a 4, but that story was just so horrid, and it just made this issue. It's almost like a crying shame, because it's almost like a team that has like all this talent and yet just can't win the big one, and that's what I felt here. So overall, I give it a 3.5.
3.5 on the overall. Well said. Good summation. Miracle, once you unmute your mic, what do you say about this book overall?
I'm kidding. Overall, I mean, like I said, there's so many good points. I mean, Roger brought up a bunch of them too. The art is fantastic. The cover is classic. It's just like, it's iconic for Batman. It's definitive. One of those covers that you see everywhere. The reprint issue itself is very well done by DC Comics. I was very impressed with the printing and everything of the whole thing. Just bring it into the modern deal. But yeah, I mean, seeing the Joker murder someone again, oh man, I mean, is that something to be happy about? Yeah, murder, right? Like, but yes and no. The concept of this book just took off, man. I mean, it's the Joker. Everything, movies, cartoons, comic books, statues, everything all comes from this issue. So the concept was fantastic, but it just, I gotta agree with Roger, where they just killed it with making Batman a freaking noob. Like, he's just not. It's like, man, oh, Batman. Anyway, so I went a little bit higher for the overall. I mean, I am a big fan of this issue in particular, not just a fan of Batman, but when I think of Batman collection and my Batman collection, this book stands out for me in that collection. And overall, I gave it a 3.5. Okay, just because of the fantastic art and the fact that they are revamping a character that did become so iconic and such a big mainstay for DC Universe. So 3.5 for me. Just because, yeah, that story, that cheesy. I really hated when he blew up a guy with a joke cigar. Like, that was just that would irk me. It just went too far back into the campiness again. So 3.5 for me overall, and most of that score comes from the art, definitely.
Yeah.
So
yeah, agreed.
Very well said. And let me give a quick shout out to my boy Comic Intellect P. Birthday video this weekend. My wife is gonna do something to me on air. Okay, let's see. Let's see.
Appropriate video, or we gotta watch.
Hit the notification bell for that. When I hit my first 100 subs, I have a Batman figure to give away. Happy birthday to you this weekend, and everyone will be looking forward to that, my brother.
Yeah.
As we slide on over to Genome Presents, what do you say overall, brother?
Well, before I even tell you that grade, I had to go all the way back to the archives here to find out when we never have picked across the board the same score. The closest I could find was the concept for Suicide Squad, and it was 3 4s and 1 3.5, so it was really close. And it was Roger who blew that one. So thanks a lot, Roger, for that 3.5.
Thanks, Roger.
Man.
But okay, so
Well.
like a lot has been said already about this book, so I won't try to rehash it too much. I'm actually good with my aggregate on this one because it just makes it easier. I I didn't like the story a lot, but everything else was pretty solid on it. But let's just go through the scores real quick. I gave the cover a 4.5. Of course, it's iconic. It's pretty incredible. It's just nice. Interior art, 4.5. My favorite part of the book was the interior art. Like I said, it reminds me a lot of like Aparo pencils and all that. And I really dig that style for Batman. Just drawn really well, other than a few nitpicks with like the backgrounds. And I didn't like the Joker's Jay Leno jaw, but other than that, or chin. So I gave that one a 4.5. For the story, I gave it a 3.0. A little better. I think I scored this one the highest out of all of us. Yeah, I did. Just because it did, half of it was really good. So I didn't want to, so I gave it a little bit of average. The concept was a 4. I mean, once again, you take a ridiculous character and you make him not only revamped for the newer, younger, hipper reader, it also revamped him into an actual challenge for Batman. So good stuff, and an actual danger to Gotham. That's another thing we didn't really mention. This one is that he starts off kind of small time in this, and he's kind of an isolated threat, but he winds up being basically a citywide menace before a decade is out. So it's kind of interesting that he one-upped himself there. So my overall aggregate is a 4.0. I think that's pretty fair for this book. The only glaring, really, really lower quality part with this was the story. Everything else is really solid. So I think a 4 is a real fair grade for this book. Definitely enjoyable. One of the more enjoyable like reads, and one of the more anticipated books that I wanted to get into because I've never actually read this before. And I was actually a Batman fan too. It was one of the few DC books I read back when I really collected hard. So yeah, just good, solid, better than average book. If you haven't got this, get the facsimile. Spend the $4 or whatever. It's worth, because just having this gorgeous art to hang on your wall somewhere is it's worth it by itself. So I mean, you can't go wrong there. So yep, 4. Much better than average score, and 4.
4 from the Mighty Genome. I'll recap with my original copy in hand, brother. 20 cents, man. It's not a nice 9.0 like Miracles. Mine's a little chewed at the bottom, maybe more like a 3 or 4 maybe. Yeah, man. So to sum, I usually go with the aggregate of my thing. Concept, strong. 4. The yin to Batman's yang. You know what I'm saying? Batman, all about law and order. He's a control freak, Batman. Joker, chaos, opposite of order. Just likes to cause a ruckus. So perfect, arch villain to emerge from this thing. Concept, high grades. 4. The story, boo. Just wrote Batman like a bozo. That was the biggest flaw. The Joker dialogue wasn't that bad. I dug the exploding cigar because it still blew the guy up, which is pretty gnarly. So yeah, it was really just Batman's writing, how he handled Batman. Everything else actually wasn't bad. But man, how dare you disrespect Batman like that? Detective, best detective, was a straight buffoon. So 2.5 for that. Interior art. 4, great work. Too funky on the panels for my taste. Calm down, Neil. We know you're. I think he got a little big for his britches, Ethan. I can't do no wrong. I'm Neil Adams. Look at this cover. I'll do panels however I want. So that took away from it a little bit, but it's still top notch inside. Great artwork, great lighting, all that stuff. Use of lighting and shadows. He really shines there. And the cover got a solid 5. This is one of my all-time favorite covers. This and Silver Surfer 4, this might be my favorite DC cover, and Silver Surfer 4 might be my top Marvel cover. I really hold this one in high esteem. Love it. All that stuff aggregated to a 4. So my overall grade is a 4 for the book. Thank you very much. Still going 15 strong in the chat. Appreciate it. If you guys could drop your overall grade into the chat real quick for us, we'll do a quick little tally, average them out, and then, then we'll set things up. We'll give you the A and B choice for next week's book. We're gonna set you right up for that.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Next episode's book.
Next episode. 2 weeks.
So
we don't want people coming over next week.
So go for it, chat. And
I was kind of surprised at Miracle. I thought for sure he was going to give that a 4.
know you're probably sick of me talking about these games and how much money you can win.
Stupid thing.
Is that your hentai alert coming in? What?
What's that?
And Tyler. Oh,
No, I was
man.
trying to.
What happened? Your balls drop off?
I just love the Joker. You know, every actor that's ever played him has brought something to the character, right?
Have you guys seen the Joker movie? The new Joker movie?
Yeah,
I haven't seen
absolutely.
it yet.
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, you guys are missing out. It's so good.
So good.
Yeah, I've been traveling a lot, so I haven't been home a lot.
It takes an active god to get me into movie theaters, though.
Yeah.
It's
I can't
definitely,
wait to sit at home
different.
and really go through it. See it again in my house.
Oh,
Are you
man.
going to fly us all over there so we can do Graders Notes from your living room?
I would love that. You don't even know.
You sent us books, all right. Don't half-ass it now.
Movie night.
Oh man, that's too much.
All right, guys, about 30 seconds left, and we're going to tally some grades here.
All right.
Yeah, I thought that movie was fantastic. I mean, it's very, very different than any other comic book movie I've seen. So
Yeah.
The only thing I've heard of is that it doesn't. A lot of people didn't consider it really a Joker movie. That you could have put, another spin on it because it was so different from the Joker portrayal in the past.
yeah, it definitely doesn't like pull a lot from the canon of the Joker. I guess it could have been some other stuff, but I mean, it was a good movie, and just
Right.
watching this guy's descent into madness, and like, I really liked how there was all this violence against him at the beginning, but as the movie slowly got on and on and on, he started to become the one that was doing all the violence. Like,
Mhm.
it was really cool the way that it just kind of steamrolled into this crazy character, like from this little meat guy. It was good. It was really well done. Anyway,
Most people don't even bring it up, but I always thought Nicholson's portrayal was the closest to comics. I mean, I think he had it
Absolutely.
nailed.
yeah. Where does
He had the buffoonery and still
Pretty
just
good.
the random psychotic episodes. I think he just
Yeah.
nailed it so perfectly.
And again, in the concept of that movie, you can't take the Joker out of that movie and put in any other rogues galleries. I mean, none of them are like, that's a Joker thing to do, to go to a parade, invite everybody down to a parade, and then kill them all with a smiling balloon. Like,
Mhm.
that's very Joker, right?
And they all loved him. That's the thing. He just killed his fans. That's so Joker right there.
I mean, the Joker's supposed to be really charming too, right?
Love that big gun.
All
All right, so I guess
You
we're
ready?
ready for grades now.
Yes.
All right, here we go. Comic Intellect, nice big fat 4. Steve Whiting with a 4. Joe's Bag of 7 is 4. Goat 99 4. My vote is based on what I've seen here tonight. Okay, great, good vote. Gray Man, I think the story is aged but not bad. 4.5. Coach Vic 4. Biggie Shack 4.5. Ben Compton 4.5. Crazy Comic Song Too Crazy 3.5. And I think that's it. That's all
Lots
we
of
got.
4s and 4.5s in there.
Yeah, there were some high grades there.
Hey, I can't fault people for liking this issue. I mean, there's a lot to like about this issue. I mean, there's a lot to not like about it as well, but
Yeah.
definitely.
That's why we all have different opinions, because some things just bother me really to my core that I can't overlook, and some things I can overlook. And this was
Yeah.
one of those I just couldn't.
I don't, even if you're not a Batman collector, if you had the opportunity to get this book at a decent price, you'd probably buy it.
Oh yeah, certainly. I
Yeah.
agree with that. Yeah.
Look at all those ones. 4.1111.
Clean sweep, hat
Four,
trick
four.
for you Canadians out there.
Oh man, we won't hear the last of this.
Never. I'm gonna lead off every
Yeah.
show on my channel with it.
Next week we're like, remember last episode I had perfect 4s.
Yeah.
I'm actually gonna date this one too.
You're gonna be like V for Vendetta. Remember the 7th of November.
Probably be
Yeah.
on it'll probably be on
Calendar man,
Instagram
this thing.
tomorrow, the whole bit,
Goat, my man. With the real Joker charge $60 for this facsimile. That's right. He's not even evil enough. He's not diabolical to do that.
Oh man.
You may think it's funny.
It's tragic, I'd say.
I think it's funny.
Yours with me with the clips.
I tell you.
So Gino, I'd say the floor is yours, man. You're the next choice for next episode. You know, we were trying to figure it out real quick. He gave us like 6 options. We were like, whoa, let's limit it down to 2. And then we all couldn't really decide, so we said, let's let the Greater Notomaniacs pick.
Creator no maniacs. I like that.
So
It was tough. The 2 that I picked out, we were torn on. Not one of us would give an answer, yay or nay, which one they really wanted. So I think we got a couple of good ones here for you. There's no Aquamans to be found here.
no Aquamans. So I'm going to full screen you while you explain the 2 books and put the choice to the chat, and the chat can give us a vote.
All right, so we're going to go back to some classic stuff. One character is very well known, and the other one not so much. One of them is analogous to a Marvel character, and the other one is just Marvel epitomized. So the first choice, number 1, will be Captain America, number 350. One of the most amazing battles ever, and a kind of a turning point in Steve Rogers' career as Captain America. So supersized 350 coming at you. That's choice 1. Choice 2 coming at you from the vaults of Doctor Strange's cast-off. We have Dr. Fate, number 1, a very fascinating character, Egyptian powered, basically Doctor Strange analog, but I think he's actually a little more powerful than, well, not more powerful than classic Doctor Strange, but more powerful than the retcon Doctor Strange. So Walt Simonson stuff. So I love Walt Simonson books and art. So I think it's a great pick. So that's number 2. So cast your votes now. Would you rather see Captain America number 350 or Dr. Fate number 1, dissected and paired out for all the world to see? Let your voice be heard now.
The immortal Dr. Fate, it says. He's infringing on Biggie Shaq's gimmick.
Yeah.
No, I know, right?
Except he has 2 M's. Anymore,
Dr. Fate.
so. Yeah, that's a tough choice, man. I mean,
Let's see if I can figure this out.
Simonson, of course, I love that mummy in the foreground, rushing at you like a juggernaut. I mean, that's really cool on that cover.
I'll hold up there again, but I got to do some doctoring here. There. Can't get my big fat finger out of the way.
Shout
The
out to
immortal
Biggie.
Biggie. Nice.
Right there, baby. Wow, we got some Dr. Fate fans in here. No love for Captain America here?
Fate.
The first Avenger? Come on now.
Fate's
Yes,
pretty
Dr.
cool.
Dr.
Fate
Fate's
does predate Doctor Strange by quite a bit.
Oh, does he? I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
Oh,
he
yeah.
was on the JSA back in the 30s, I think, or early 40s.
He's a golden
Simonson
character.
classic stuff.
Well, it looks like the chat has spoken.
Mm-hmm.
Fate it is.
Yep. Oh, we got 2 dissenting voices there. But yeah, it looks like Dr. Fate wins in a landslide. So DC fans and magician lovers, here it comes. This one's going to be for you. So join us in 2 weeks as we dissect Dr. Fate number 1.
Nice.
Dr. Fate.
Nice.
Heck yeah. I'm down. I don't think I've ever read a Dr. Fate book. He's always just cameoed and stuff here and there, but I've never read a Dr. Fate title, so.
He's way more cryptic than Doctor Strange when he talks and stuff. He's cool. I like him.
Yeah.
He is cool. And Simonson, I've read a few of those. He had a first issue special, and Simonson does a good job with it. Pretty good job.
Walt and Louise did good books. I like both of
Yeah.
them. So
Yeah.
And one of the coolest helmets, maybe second only to Magneto, man. He's got a great helmet.
yeah, it's a little nondescript in this one, but it's really cool. I like his design.
Yeah, his helmet's
Then
cool.
they throw onks all over the place. It's just cool. It's like a double sign here. You got the cyber side in the middle, and then pan out, and there's the onk behind them.
What year is that from, Gino?
I want to
Like
say
90?
85.
Oh, 85? Oh, that old.
Yeah, January of 85.
Okay.
Cool. Well, good stuff. What a fun episode.
Great episode.
Yeah,
real good.
fun one. Great chat
Great
interaction.
chat. They were on fire tonight.
Yeah, that was great tonight. Thanks again for sending us those books, Kenny.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure.
Let's see if we have any closing words and upcoming channel activity. You know what I'm saying? Because all my Graders Notes buddies here all put out great stuff on their channel. So, it's always good to know what's coming down the pike. And keep in mind that next episode will be hosted by my friend Gino Presents. His book, his channel, brother.
His
so
channel.
if you enjoyed this episode, make sure you subscribe to him and you join us next Thursday. So speaking of that, Gino, what's cooking, brother, on your channel? Any closing words?
Oh man, I am like what was his name? The Kate there. No, I'm like Graham Kerr, man. The friggin' the Galloping Gourmet. There's always kinds of different stuff going on the channel. Did my Aliens review recently for you, Kenneth. So hopefully you enjoyed that one.
Nice.
That was by popular Graders Notes demand. But so there's more movie reviews coming up. I actually was going to have, I'll probably put a video out about it. I'm trying to figure out the next movie I want to review. It's either going to be The Mac or Willie Dynamite. So I got to figure out which one of those I want to do. I just watched those again after a while. It's been a long time since I've seen them. I gotta do a review on it. But from the comic book standpoint, I have my new series, which is Cover of the Week. I've been running that. I try to get stuff up on Tuesday or Wednesday. I'll try to make it a little more regular. So who knows what I'm going to pick next week. Just quick 3 or 4 minute video running down the cover I think is really sweet, and I kind of break down why I like it. On the interview forefront, I'm still working with John Beatty. He's been doing the con thing like crazy and has not sat down to work on his equipment even. So he doesn't want, he said he would do it with just a microphone, but if I wanted a webcam, I have to wait a little longer until he gets everything set up. So however long that takes, I said, we'll just wait. And there's no sense having the voice. It would be kind of cool just to have a picture of him up there, like a radio call-in show or whatever. But interview tomorrow, this actually just came through today. I have decided to internalize a little bit on the interview circuit. Why always go out when you can go within? So I took up one of the OGs of the comics community. Tomorrow I'm going to be interviewing Comics with Bueller tomorrow. So hopefully that interview should be up around Saturday or Friday evening. I got something to do Friday night, so probably more like Saturday. So I'm probably going to try to go get some of the heavy hitters like JLS and Reggie and all them and see if they want to impart upon us their wisdom of the ages. So, and of course I'll be getting some of the local guys too eventually, but so that's going to be a new part of the interview series, as well as a lot of other people I reached out to, just waiting on coordination. So pretty much it, more movie reviews, more music reviews, looking for a suggestion for my next music review, or my next song review that is. And just stay tuned for Cover of the Week and more of everything else. So thanks.
A lot popping on Mr. Geno's channel. Mr. Metarog, I saw you posted your contest roundup today.
Yeah.
Update.
Yeah, roundups every Thursday, hopefully. Couple new ones today. Actually, I missed one, but it'll go on next week. This Tuesday, I've got. I was in Atlanta this week. And I did some comic hunting, a lot of comic hunting, actually. And I found some really good stuff. So Tuesday, you're going to see that huge haul. Actually met up with another YouTuber who was in the chat earlier, Library of Comics. And he got me into the super secret ante-room of a comic book shop. And we did some hunting in there. So check out Tuesday's haul video. I'm going to do a Saturday or Sunday. I'm going to do a contest entry for Comics Altruism, in which it's really cool. You guys should do it. You have to essentially cast a movie, reimagine a comic book movie, but you cast them, with whatever era, whatever actors, whatever plot changes that you want. And so I'm going to be doing that this weekend. And on Thursday, back on the roundup, and who knows what else might be coming down the pike.
Awesome. Great content. It's always sure to be found on Metarog's channel. As is Miracle Man. I'm sure he's going to stay strong with the everyone's favorite undervalued picks, brother. You got one pick.
Yeah, I got another undervalued video that I'll be posting out tomorrow. Okay, I did film it, but I made a big mistake in it, and I couldn't use it today. So damn it, I got to re-edit. That happens. Anyways, it'll be out tomorrow for sure. yeah, other than that, like just life has got me busy, guys. YouTube has been taking a little bit of a back burner, but still here, still doing my stuff.
That's right.
Oh yeah, I told you nothing.
He's still here. He ain't going anywhere, brother. And as far as this very channel and myself, Friday, I think I'm going to be joining Tony Sanders to do. I won't be there for the whole Hunt show, but I do have to defend my cover championship battle.
Right.
And in the what do you call it? The theme that I picked was Batman villain cover. So pretty appropriate after this episode. I'm facing Jeffrey Comic-Con Henson for the cover championship. But also I think it might not be a traditional Mega Power Hour, but I believe if plans are still as they were, me and Big Shaq, the Mega Powers themselves, are going to be doing some fill-in work on the Comic Core channel Friday. And I think we're going to be linking up with none other than the great legend. So it could be, a reunion of that strong triad. It's been a while since Mega Power Hour episode 2 or 3. We're going to see if we're going to still make that happen. So stay tuned for that. And if auctions are your thing, if you like to dip into an auction every now and then, I think probably by the end of next week, we're pinning down the date. I got to lock it down, but stay tuned because myself and Discovery Bay Comics are going to be putting on a little comic book auction. And let me tell you something, brother. I want to slim down some stuff in my collection, and I want to try and convert some of that into a couple of, bigger books that I have in mind. So you're going to want to stay tuned for that because I'm going to put some really spicy books up on the auction block. But as that gets closer, I'll let you know the deal and do a little preview video, let you know what's in there. But yeah, just stay tuned. Any DC slabs? Probably, brother. Probably. So that's it from boom. So that's happening on my channel. I'm starving. You guys were talking about pizza earlier. I haven't eaten dinner yet. I'm ready to grab some dinner. Thanks, guys, for joining. I always love doing the show with you guys.
Yeah, me too. The chat's the best,
love
dude.
it. Love it. Look forward for every 2 weeks.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night. Appreciate you.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
No.